Good morning. I got up early this morning and came in, had my mom to sit with little Sammy because I've gotten a lot of questions about how I was able to detect that Sammy was or is autistic, about the diagnosis and the stages before. So I'm going to take a few minutes to just kind of tell you my story. Sammy was a full-term baby. Everything was perfect. Really quick delivery. He was absolutely normal. Whatever you deem to be normal, that was Sammy. He met all of his milestones. I made sure he went in for his checkups. In fact, Sammy was involved in a study called the Candle Study. And with the Candle Study, they actually start taking data before the baby is born. I forgot how many months, but they start taking data before the baby is born. They take data up until, at the time, it was up until they were 3 years old. I think since then they've increased it to like 5. I know they're still tracking Sammy, and Sammy is 5.5. So I think they got more funding for the program. But we have a documentation actually that the first year Sammy went in for his evaluation with the Candle Study, Sammy was above average, very much so above average. I remember the guy who did the testing at UT Medical was so excited that he's like, I hope I get to test him again when he's 2, because it's amazing how much he knows. And at, I guess, around 18 months, I started to notice some things that were changing. I started to notice how Sammy was not talking as much, and when he was talking, he was basically mimicking things that he was hearing. Now, let me go back a little bit. I know there are a lot of people who have their opinions about what causes autism or where autism originates from or what have you. And let me say this. When Sammy went in for his immunizations, that were, I can't remember which one, I have to look back on his record, but Sammy was accidentally given a double dose of one of the vaccines. I remember, in hindsight, I remember the doctor coming in and saying, and looking at his little, immunization card and saying, oh, he doesn't need this one. He's already had it. And I said, well, she's already given it to him. And he said, okay, no big deal. And he just crossed it out on his little blue card. No big deal at the time. Little did I know that later on, I feel like it would be a big deal. People can say what they want. Everybody has their opinions. It's neither here nor there at this point, because he has been diagnosed with autism, and we're just dealing with that. I'm not going to dwell on what happened, what caused it, where it came from, but that's my story. And within a few months afterwards, I noticed changes in his personality. Like I said, he wasn't communicating. He wasn't looking us in the eye. It's like he wasn't there. He was there, but he wasn't there. And it's kind of hard to explain if you haven't been through it. But like I said, around 18 months, things started happening. Whereas we used to hold up the cards, like flashcards, and he would say what was on the card, like his alphabet and things. He would look at it, and it was like it was there. You could tell he wanted to say it. It was there, but it wouldn't come out. So I spoke with his pediatrician at the time, and I told him, I said, something is not right. I feel like something is going wrong. Well, very well-respected pediatrician. He was LaQuisha's pediatrician in the beginning before we moved to Texas. He had been in practice probably a lot longer than he should have been. He's since retired, but he's like, no, he's fine. You know, when you go into take your child in, I will say they spend all of probably less than 5 minutes in the room with your child. If you think something is wrong, please stick with it, because we lost a little bit of precious time. I kept telling him something wasn't right. He was telling me, oh, he's fine. He asked me, basically asked me if he was at home with me. I told him, yeah, he was at home with me. And he's like, well, maybe you should put him in, maybe you should put him in a, like a daytime program where he can interact with other kids. All of these suggestions that he was giving me to convince me that everything was fine with Sammy. But everything wasn't fine with Sammy. So by the time Sammy hit his third birthday, I remember it was right before his third birthday, I just had enough. By that point, Sammy was not talking. He was not calling any of us by our names like he used to. He wasn't calling his sister Quisha. He wasn't calling me mommy anymore. He was saying Nana every now and then, but basically he just had checked out. He was there. His body was there, but he had just like checked out. And you be talking to him, and you be talking to Sammy, and it was like talking to a brick wall. You heard you talk about how people talk about, oh, my kid is, it's just like talking to a brick wall. It was really like talking to a brick wall, because you would be having a conversation with him and he wouldn't respond whatsoever. And of course, by that point, I was totally fed up with what the pediatrician had told me and said, no, okay, we're going to check more into this. My cousin told me about going about a program in Tennessee called TESIS, where they would do the evaluation. Well, by the time I got the phone call back from TESIS, Sammy had turned 3, and they stopped at 3. I think he had missed it by like a week, maybe 2 weeks. And the lady referred me to the school system who did the testing. And while we were sitting in the testing, it was really funny because they do an eye exam and they do a hearing test, are the first 2 things that they do. And like I said, it was like talking to a brick wall when you would be talking to Sammy, because he wouldn't respond at all. And the lady kept saying, Sammy this and Sammy that. And she held him pictures and Sammy touched the picture. And finally, he got so fed up after a few minutes, because I kept telling her, he can hear you, he's just not responding. And she said, Sammy touched the picture. And he turned to her and he just belted out, don't want to touch the picture. And I thought that was hilarious. Wish I had gotten it on video for y'all, but it was so funny. And she goes, oh, well, I guess he can hear. And I said, yeah, he can. But by the time we left the facility, actually we were getting ready to leave the facility, one of the ladies in the testing came up to me and she asked me, she said, have you heard of autism? And I said, yeah. I said, my oldest daughter had kind of come to me with that, and we kind of thought of what it was, but we didn't want to taint anything, so we didn't say anything. And before we left, she told me, she said, if you have time, I want to call somebody in. So she called in this lady. The lady came. Oh my gosh. Look at this, you guys. Look. Coming across the parking lot. Can you see? Look. Okay. That's funny. I'm at work. But anyway, and they're just going on across the parking lot like nothing's going on. Everything's cool. But anyway, so before we could leave, she wanted to bring someone in. We waited like an hour, and the lady got there, and she did her testing while we were there. And she told me it would be a couple of weeks. At that point, I pretty much had come to realize that that's basically what it was, is that it was autism. And all I needed really was an official diagnosis. So what happened was, about a month later, of course, they take all of the data from the testing that the one team did, the testing that she did, and they come up. Excuse me. I will never forget this. My daughter probably won't either. Quisha was in the room with me. I will never forget sitting at the table with all of these people and all of these specialists around, and seeing me doing flips in the floor, and the lady telling me that they had an official diagnosis of autism. That they had an official diagnosis of autism, and I was doing like I'm doing now, crying like a crybaby. And I remember she was talking as they were having me to sign all of this official paperwork to get him into some programs. So as I remember her talking, and then I remember at the end, she said, "Do you understand?" And I said, "I don't know a thing that you just said." Through all that talking she did, I heard her, but I didn't hear her. And I remember telling her, "Just show me where to sign. Just show me where to sign." And signing the paper with the official diagnosis on it. And I remember her saying, telling me how he's going to be successful because he has a successful family there. And it had, that was really the biggest part, is to make sure that you are on board and that you take responsibility and that you get on top of it as soon as possible. And that's what we did, and that's what we have done over the last, it's been 3 years now. Oh, Sammy is 5.5. So it's been 2.5 years, almost 3 years now, that we got the official diagnosis. But from there, I will say, Team Sammy sprung into action. That was, the biggest hurdle. It was really hard, but at the same time, it was such a relief to know what was going on. It was scary because there's so little known about autism. And, some people, believe it or not, don't really think autism is real. And it's very much so real. I live it every day. We live it every day. My family. But, if you think, or you have, don't let somebody convince you that everything is okay if you know in your heart everything is not okay. I guess that is the biggest takeaway that I got from this. And to find somebody who can help, somebody who's been through it. You need a mentor. You need somebody who can show you the ropes. You need somebody who can show you how to get through the system, and you need to study up on what your rights are and what your child's rights are. Don't let people tell you what can and cannot be done at all. Don't take anybody's word for it. If you think something is wrong, go for it. I'm at a loss for words now because I'm a big crybaby. But anyway, I'll be making some more videos about it. Visit me on my Facebook fan page. Hit the like button for me. My Facebook fan page is Autism Sammy's Mom, SAMMIES. And you can visit me at sammysmom.com where I will be giving more information and doing more videos. So, talk to y'all later. I got to get out of here and get into work. Bye-bye.